without a claim that it has actually a root going far many years back into history. I think we can trace existence of homosexual practices in Africa, pre-colonial Africa. Given the fact that these persons we have talked to who claim that they are born like that, I am tending to think that there are many cases in the past like that, but would not actually openly come out. It's now that because of the, I think knowledge about people's rights and so on, that the young people are coming out, but that does not deny the fact that there could have been also persons of that nature, but would not come out.
In the course of our study, we came across a claim trying to prove that this thing actually happened in the Bugandan society, in the Bugandan community, that Okuto Mukago was an indirect way of creating associations of those practitioners, same-sex relationships, and that they would especially do this when they would go into the hunting expeditions.
I do not support persecution or discrimination of homosexuals as our society has always done. We never discriminated them. We never marginalized them or discriminated against them.
But really not. What do we know of gay love in pre-colonial Ugandan community? But contrary to this school of thought, homosexuality in Buganda, among the Baganda people, who form the biggest part of the population in the current-day Kampala and surrounding areas, has been tolerated for most of the 700 years of the kingdom's powerful existence, even before the arrival of the first Europeans. It is within the African traditional culture setup that same-sex relationships were tolerated. Evidence of this cultural tolerance and practices is greatly significant in places of former kings. Up to today, with priests and priestesses, members still preserving and keeping this tradition, Africa had explanations attributed to the spiritual realm that they were not used to. A spirit was, for example, known in Buganda to make people gay.
Obanga ino muzimu ogumugamba genda obire ku muwala munno okole bwoti na bwoti naye mbutonde bwaffe kyatutonde watete kirina mu buzibu bonna mbafuna nga ayina ekimusindika busindiki n'afuna omuntu n'amuforcing omuwala bamunne bamukyala munne naye n'amuyingizaamu ekitambo naye ebitambo tubiwonya ffe kati nganze singa nze mbiwonya ate mbafuna naye mbakola ku nyine eddagala lyensobola okuba basobola okuvaako ekyo ekitambo ali n'ate n'adda bulungi mu muntu ng'omuntu.
If Africa was so backward and did not have regulations on sexuality, then how about punishments for taboo sex, like for girls who indulged in premarital sex?
Actually, in my community, we have a lake and it had some islands. So a person, if they got pregnant and they were below 18, they would be, or not even below 18, if they were not yet in marriage, officially married off, they would be taken to an island. The girl would be taken and left in an island. That is Lake Munyonyi. They would be taken to an island in Lake Munyonyi and they would, for death, because it would be an abomination. But in another community within the Bachiga, there was a cliff, falls, waterfalls around Chisizi. They would go and throw, the brother would push the sister into that waterfall. But on the eventful day when it stopped, this girl went with the brother. She hung on to the brother and they all fell into and they died. So from that time, they stopped.
Because when a girl became pregnant, where at his parents' home, it was called Mayumunganiro, whereby they had to make, they used even to build her a house. From away from the compound, and that house has to face the forest. And mostly it was his grandma to send them food, had to eat alone. Now, this was to, I think, to warn the girls never to indulge into sex activities before the time of marriage.
But distortions, misinformation, and an imposition of intolerant anti-gay views have pushed Black Africa over the cliff in post-colonial Africa. Now, see how far we've come with this homophobia.
Martin Semper. I'm here in the capacity as the chairman of the National Task Force Against Homosexuality in Uganda. We are making legislation to make sure that sodomy and homosexuality never sees the light of legality in this land of the Pearl of Africa.
But are these extreme thoughts and diverse views really the answer? Where is our pluralism to diversity, including to same-sex people? Why are we so unwelcoming to divergent opinion?
I believe that homosexuals in Africa are an organic outgrowth of our own society. Homosexuality has been in Africa for as long as human beings have lived on this continent. And from my own knowledge, homosexuality is a common practice in about 537 species of vertebrate mammals, not only human beings, and it is as old as humanity. So homosexuals, I believe, should be free. But this society has a certain set of norms, values, and cultures that are hostile to homosexuality. So the solution is not to dictate that everybody should like it by fiat. The good thing about this proposed law by Bahati is that it has generated public debate. Public debate, I believe, will tend to create greater knowledge about homosexuality, and that knowledge will become, this knowledge will create tolerance over a period of time. People are not going to change their beliefs overnight. You know, an idea, whenever it is proposed, it is rejected, then debated, then considered, finally accepted. So we can say in the next 10, 20, 30 years, as Uganda changes, as people get more exposed, the idea that our society should be tolerating of homosexuals will take root. The bottom line is that this society has deeply entrenched prejudices against homosexuals. So how do you change people's beliefs? It takes time. There must be people who are willing to have the courage to say there is no problem with being homosexual. It is as normal as being straight. And through continuous debate, people will begin reconsidering their positions, and over time people will change. You cannot force cultural change. You can only achieve it over a period of time. It does not matter which president you are. It does not matter which president you are. The best a president of Uganda can do, I think now, if you ask me, is to improve service delivery. So that you have a university hall like this, looking modern. I think we can achieve that. We can get rid of potholes if we meant to. We may not have all our roads tarmacked, but we can have those roads that are tarmacked, better maintained. We can afford to plant nice flowers and flower gardens in our city. We can possibly afford a better healthcare system than we have now. But the healthcare system that we have, dysfunctional as it is not an aberration, neither is it an accident. It is also produced by the nature of our political contestation. Because I should remind you that politics has costs. There are many expectations. Young lady, if you became president today, what would you do first?
I think I would first eliminate people who have research thinking like yours. Because you can't tell me that you're going to plan softer things so that you can achieve them in 10 years. Uganda is not going to go off in 10 years. You can plan and grow Uganda with people developing.
But what do young people believe is the problem with Uganda? Is it really homosexuality? Take a look at this public lecture.
Now, the problem is that in politics, when she begins killing the human race, she may actually be killing for the right reason. That people with dangerous ideas must be eliminated. So, although her motivations may be genuine, the reaction based on the existing ideology, political beliefs that there should be democracy and human rights, the existing ideology and political values and beliefs will generate resistance to her rule and people begin fighting her. Rather than do her plan, she will be now mobilizing the army to go to Luwero to fight against.
Having power, I will design the curriculum of the country in a sense that I will instill leadership and integrity skills to see that we invest in human capital. What do you say?
The president to be 2016.